How often do you stop and truly ask yourself if you love who you are? Not just on a surface level, but deep down where it counts. Learning to love yourself more than anyone else is one of the most important steps you can take in life. It's about accepting every part of you, even the things you don't like. It means speaking kindly to yourself, protecting your peace, and putting your needs first without guilt. This kind of self-love isn't about being selfish. It's about building a strong foundation that supports everything else in your life. Imagine waking up each day with confidence and peace, knowing you matter and you're worthy of respect. In this video, we'll explore practical steps you can take to start loving yourself fully, even if you've never done it before. Stay with me, because this is the kind of change that will transform your life. Number 1, accept your flaws and stand proud every single day. You know, one of the most powerful things you can ever do for yourself is to learn to accept your flaws and stand proud every single day. Not once in a while, not only when someone compliments you, not only when things go right, but every single day, whether you feel like it or not. That's where it begins. Not with the world, not with your family, not even with your closest friends. It begins with how you view yourself when no one's watching. Most people have a list of what's wrong with them. They know what they lack. They can tell you everything they failed at, everything that's not perfect. And they carry that list in their head like it's proof that they don't deserve better. That's the wrong list to carry. That's the list that keeps people stuck in shame, in comparison, in self-doubt. And the truth is, no one escapes having flaws. But the real difference between someone who feels strong in their life and someone who stays stuck in fear is this. One has learned to accept their flaws and keep going, and the other still believes their flaws define their worth. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've made mistakes. You've said things you regret. You've held back when you should have spoken up. You stayed too long in situations that drained you. That's the human experience. But what's the alternative? Keep punishing yourself forever. Keep waiting until you're perfect to feel proud. If that's the plan, then life passes you by while you wait. And that's a terrible trade. You've got to make peace with who you are. And I mean really make peace. Not pretend for a few hours and then fall back into the same cycle. Not rely on a good day to finally feel good about yourself. I'm talking about deciding right now that you're done being your own enemy. That you're done tearing yourself down before anyone else gets the chance. That you're done hiding the parts of you that are human, because you're afraid someone might not like what they see. It takes strength to look at your flaws and say, yes, that's part of me, but it's not all of me. It takes courage to say, yes, I failed, but I'm still worthy. You don't get self-respect handed to you. You earn it by how you treat yourself. You earn it by the way you talk to yourself when you're alone. And if you're constantly telling yourself that you're not enough, that you're behind, that you're broken, then that's the story you live in. Not because it's true, but because you keep choosing it. Now here's the reality check. You will never be flawless. You will never have it all figured out. You will always have areas to improve. That's not a problem. That's life. But what you can do starting today is take all the things you think are wrong with you and stop letting them control your confidence. Stop letting them decide how you show up. The world is already full of people trying to be someone they're not. You don't need to join them. You don't need to shrink to fit. You need to expand to be. When you walk into a room, you don't need to hide your uncertainty. You don't need to pretend to have it all together. You just need to stand firm in who you are. You need to say, this is me. I'm not perfect, but I'm real, and I'm showing up anyway. That kind of presence can't be bought. It comes from self-respect. It comes from doing the work to face yourself instead of running from the mirror. Think about this. How many opportunities have you missed because you thought you weren't good enough? How many relationships have you sabotaged because deep down you believed you didn't deserve to be fully loved? How many times have you stayed quiet because you didn't trust your voice? That's not your potential talking. That's your fear. That's your inner critic, and it's loud. Yes, but it's not the truth. The truth is, you have more to offer than you realize. But you can't access it until you stop fighting yourself every day. It's not about ignoring your flaws. It's about owning them. That's real power. When you say, yes, I have weaknesses and I still choose to show up strong, you're rewriting the rules. You're saying that your value doesn't come from perfection. It comes from honesty. It comes from the way you carry yourself, even when life isn't going your way. It comes from the decision to love yourself even when the world doesn't. You know, people are waiting for someone to believe in them. They're waiting for validation. They're waiting for the green light to feel good about who they are. But the hard truth is this. If you don't give that to yourself, no one else can give it to you. Not in a way that lasts. not in a way that holds up under pressure. So the question is, are you willing to be that person for yourself? Are you willing to accept all of you, not just the parts that look good on the surface? The real test comes when things get tough, when you fail, when you disappoint yourself, when you feel exposed. That's when most people retreat. That's when they hide behind shame. But you've got to resist that urge. You've got to keep standing tall. Because if you keep running from your flaws, you'll keep running from yourself. And the truth is, you can't build a solid life on self-rejection. You can't grow when you're constantly trying to erase who you are. Start small. Stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself one thing you like. Not what you hope to be, not what you plan to fix, but what already exists. Say it out loud. Say it with certainty. Do that every day, even when you don't feel it. Especially when you don't feel it. That's how you change the way your mind sees you. Not by waiting for a breakthrough, but by choosing consistency. This is your life. This is your mind. This is your heart. You don't get another version of you. So take what you've got, flaws and all, and build something strong from it. Don't wait to feel proud. Choose it. Don't wait to be perfect. Show up now, and don't wait for someone to come fix your self-esteem. That job belongs to you. And you are more than capable. Stand proud. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when you're still learning. Even when it feels unfamiliar. Because that's the kind of strength that changes your life. That's the kind of love that lasts. Not the kind that hides the flaws, but the kind that accepts them and grows anyway. Number 2. Speak kindly to yourself in every situation daily. You will never rise higher than the way you speak to yourself. If the voice inside your head is filled with criticism, pressure, and doubt, then no matter how good life looks on the outside, it won't feel right on the inside. The words you say to yourself every day shape your entire emotional world. They affect how you walk, how you stand, how you handle people, how you recover from failure, and how you carry yourself when no one's watching. And the truth is, most people speak to themselves in a way they would never speak to someone they love. If you make a small mistake, what do you say? If something doesn't go the way you planned, what's your inner reaction? If someone rejects you, do you instantly start blaming yourself? Or do you offer compassion the way you would to a friend? These moments tell you more about your relationship with yourself than anything else. Because it's not just what happens in life that breaks people down. It's how they talk to themselves when life gets hard. You have to understand, your mind is always listening. Every thought, every word, every message you repeat to yourself becomes part of how you see yourself. And if all you're feeding your mind is not good enough, not ready, not smart enough, not attractive enough, then your actions will shrink to match that belief. Your energy will drop, your confidence will fade, your relationships will suffer. Not because you're not enough, but because you keep telling yourself that you aren't. The first change is simple, but powerful. Speak kindly to yourself in every situation daily, not when things are easy, not when everything feels good, but every situation, especially when things are messy, especially when you're disappointed in yourself. That's the moment you need your own kindness the most. That's the moment when being hard on yourself doesn't make you stronger. It makes you weaker. You know what happens when you constantly criticize yourself? You start fearing mistakes. You start holding back. You avoid opportunities. You avoid relationships. You avoid growth. Because deep down you know that the moment something goes wrong, your own mind will turn against you. You create a world where failure feels dangerous, where change feels terrifying, where self-worth depends on being flawless. And that's a prison. That's not growth. That's fear disguised as discipline. Real discipline doesn't come from self-hate. It comes from self-respect. It comes from knowing that you are human and worthy, even when you fall short. Speaking kindly to yourself doesn't make you soft. It gives you the inner strength to keep going. It doesn't let you off the hook. It gives you the space to improve without tearing yourself down. There's a massive difference between being responsible and being brutal. You can hold yourself accountable without cruelty. You can expect more from yourself without destroying your self-worth in the process. Ask yourself right now, how would your life change if you started treating yourself like someone you actually respected? If you stopped using shame as a weapon and started using kindness as a tool for growth? What if when you felt fear, you encouraged yourself instead of attacked yourself? What if when you failed, you said you're still learning and that's okay, instead of you're pathetic, you should know better by now? Most people wait for someone else to give them permission to feel proud. But that permission needs to come from you. It needs to come from the way you speak to yourself, when no one else is around. You need to become the person who encourages you when you feel stuck, who comforts you when you feel embarrassed, who reminds you that you are trying your best, even when others don't understand. You see, life already has enough criticism, enough judgment, enough pressure. You don't need to add more of that in your own mind. You need to create a space inside you that is safe, strong, steady, so that when the world shakes, you don't fall apart. That space is built with words, with language, with the daily habit of choosing words that lift you, not crush you. This isn't about pretending you're always right. This isn't about ignoring problems. It's about facing reality with strength and self-respect. It's about saying, yes, I made a mistake, and I can fix it. It's about saying, yes, I'm nervous, and I'm still going to show up. It's about saying, I may not be where I want to be, but I am worth fighting for. That's what kind self-talk does. It builds a bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. It gives you access to more courage, more creativity, and more clarity. And it doesn't come from waiting until you feel like being kind. It comes from doing it every day, especially when it's hard. Start now. Speak to yourself with care. If you wouldn't say it to a child, don't say it to yourself. If you wouldn't say it to a close friend in pain, don't say it to your own heart. If the words make you feel small, ashamed, or frozen, replace them. Speak to yourself like someone who matters, because you do. Some people think this is weakness. They think you need to be hard on yourself to succeed. But that approach doesn't create strong people. It creates scared people. It creates people who look strong on the outside but are collapsing on the inside. People who can't enjoy their wins because they've trained their minds to only look for what's wrong. People who never feel satisfied because no matter how far they go, they never believe they're enough. That's not strength. Real strength is built on compassion. Real strength is built on encouragement. Real strength is built by choosing to speak to yourself in a way that helps you rise. Not just once, not just on good days, but consistently. You deserve peace in your mind. You deserve to feel safe in your own thoughts. You deserve to feel supported by the voice in your head. That's not a luxury. That's not selfish. That's a feminine. Because when you feel good about who you are, you make better decisions. You treat others better. You handle stress better. You grow faster. So today, make it a habit. Speak kindly to yourself in every situation. When you wake up, say something true and good about yourself. When you feel fear, speak strength. When you feel failure, speak hope. When you feel lost, speak direction. When you're tempted to be harsh, pause and choose to be understanding. Do it again tomorrow. Do it again the day after. And one day you'll realize something powerful. You've become your own source of strength. That's when everything changes. Because when you stop attacking yourself, you stop settling for less. You stop begging for validation. You stop pretending, and you start living with confidence, with focus, with purpose. Not because life got easier, but because you finally became someone you could count on. Number 3, cut out anyone who makes you feel small. There comes a point in life when you have to decide what kind of energy you're willing to accept around you. Not because you're trying to be better than anyone else, but because your peace, your growth, and your self-respect are not up for negotiation anymore. You've worked too hard, gone through too much, and learned too many lessons to keep allowing people in your life who make you feel small, unseen, or unworthy. There is nothing noble about shrinking yourself to keep someone else comfortable. Some people won't clap when you win. They'll look for ways to remind you of who you used to be. Some will dismiss your progress because they're threatened by it. They don't want to see you rise because your growth highlights their stagnation. And others, they just don't know how to offer anything other than criticism, sarcasm, or silence. But here's the truth. It's not your job to convince anyone to treat you better. It's your job to stop giving them a front row seat to your life. You don't have to tolerate people who constantly question your worth. You don't have to justify your dreams to those who don't take you seriously. You don't have to keep making space for those who only show up to take and never give. If someone makes you doubt your value, if they drain your spirit, if their words or actions constantly make you feel less than, cut them out. You are not obligated to keep toxic relationships just because you've known someone for a long time, or because they're family, or because they used to be there for you. What matters is how they show up now. There's a certain kind of strength that comes from protecting your energy, and it doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like not picking up the phone. Sometimes it looks like walking away from conversations that tear you down. Sometimes it looks like unfollowing people who trigger comparison and self-doubt. And sometimes it means having the courage to say, I'm done. This isn't good for me anymore. The people around you influence how you see yourself. If you surround yourself with voices that uplift you, challenge you respectfully, and want to see you win, you grow faster. You feel stronger, you think clearer. But if you stay close to people who dismiss your feelings, ignore your boundaries, or minimize your successes, you start second-guessing everything. And that self-doubt creeps into every part of your life, your work, your relationships, your confidence. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they can stay in the same environment that's been tearing them down and still build a strong self-image. That doesn't work. You can't grow in soil that poisons you. You can't thrive where you're constantly being pulled backward. You can't build a better future while staying loyal to people who only remember your past. Cutting someone out doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It simply means you're choosing to stop betraying yourself. Because every time you allow someone to disrespect you, every time you laugh off comments that sting, every time you keep quiet to avoid conflict, you are telling yourself that your comfort doesn't matter, that your voice doesn't matter, that your heart doesn't matter. And the longer you live like that, the harder it becomes to believe in your own worth. This isn't about ego. This is about alignment. This is about choosing relationships that reflect the person you're becoming, not the one you had to be to survive. Some people were only meant to be with you for a season. They played a role in your story, but they don't get to stay for the whole journey. And that's okay. Growth requires separation. Progress demands new standards. The people you keep in your life should make you feel seen, supported, and inspired. They should respect your boundaries without guilt. They should celebrate your wins without turning them into competition. They should be honest without being cruel. If someone can't do that, you're not required to keep them close just to avoid being alone. You'd be surprised how much peace comes from walking away from the wrong company. Now here's what makes it hard. Guilt. You'll feel it, you'll wonder if you're being too harsh. You'll question whether you're overreacting. You'll replay the good moments and try to convince yourself that maybe things aren't so bad. But remember this, feeling bad for protecting your energy is a sign that you've been conditioned to put others first. For too long, you are not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You are responsible for your peace. And don't expect people to clap when you finally choose yourself. The ones who benefited from your silence, your overgiving, your lack of boundaries, they won't like your strength. They'll call it selfish. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right, you have changed. You've grown, you've woken up. And you've decided that being treated poorly is no longer something you'll accept. There's nothing wrong with raising your standards. There's nothing wrong with saying, this version of me no longer entertains this kind of treatment. That's growth. That's self-respect. That's power. And once you experience the peace of not being around people who constantly make you question yourself, you'll never want to go back. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You just need to make the decision. Quietly, firmly, consistently. Cut out anyone who makes you feel small. The friend who always makes backhanded comments. The relative who uses guilt to control you. The partner who only shows love when they need something. The coworker who takes credit for your work and downplays your efforts. You don't need to stay in those dynamics. You need to protect your light. Life is short. Time is limited. Energy is precious. Every minute you spend defending your worth to someone who refuses to see it is a minute stolen from your growth, from your joy, from your progress. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. You owe yourself the kind of life that feels free, grounded, and honest. Start checking the people around you. Ask yourself, do I feel safe around them? Do I feel respected? Do I feel like I can be myself without walking on eggshells? If the answer is no, something has to change. Your future depends on it. Your confidence depends on it. Your peace depends on it. It takes strength to cut ties. It takes courage to stand alone for a while. But what you'll gain in clarity, in confidence, and self-respect, it's worth it. You'll start attracting better people. You'll start feeling lighter. You'll stop second-guessing yourself. And most of all, you'll finally have space to grow into the person you were always meant to be. Not the version of you that was shaped by smallness, but the version that stands tall, even when no one else claps. Number 4, celebrate your progress even when no one claps. If you're waiting for the world to applaud your progress, you're handing over your power to people who may never understand your journey. You can't let your growth depend on recognition. You can't wait for validation to feel proud of yourself, because the truth is, most of the progress you'll ever make in life will happen in silence, behind closed doors without an audience. No one sees the nights you stayed up fighting your doubts. No one hears the battles you win, just by showing up one more day. And that's exactly why you must celebrate yourself, even when no one else does. Progress isn't always loud. It isn't always big. Sometimes it's in the little shifts. Saying no when you used to say yes. Speaking up when your voice used to shake. Choosing peace over chaos. Choosing healing over habits. Choosing yourself over approval. These changes are quiet, but they're powerful. And if you're waiting for someone to notice before you feel good about it, you'll miss the beauty of becoming who you're meant to be. You have to be the one to recognize your own evolution. You have to be the one to say, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm not who I used to be either. That mindset keeps you moving. That mindset builds self-trust. That mindset turns self-doubt into self-worth. So why do so many people overlook their progress? Because they compare, they scroll through other people's lives and feel like they're falling behind. They see someone else winning and forget how far they've come. But your journey is not a race. It's not a competition. It's personal. And when you stop measuring yourself against others, you finally give yourself permission to be proud. You don't need a crowd to validate your improvement. You don't need a stage to feel successful. You just need honesty. You need to look at where you started and acknowledge how far you've come. Maybe you're not at your goal yet, but you're moving. Maybe you're still healing, but you're not breaking like you used to. That's worth celebrating. Start making it a habit. Every time you do something that challenges the old version of you, acknowledge it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, take a moment to honor it. Every time you push through fear, give yourself credit. These moments are not small. They are the foundation of lasting change. The problem is, we've been trained to only celebrate outcomes, the promotion, the certificate, the applause. But growth doesn't always come with a trophy. Sometimes growth is invisible to everyone but you. And that's okay, because your journey is yours, your battles are yours, and your progress deserves your attention. When you stop needing others to cheer for you, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing applause and start chasing purpose. You stop doubting your pace and start trusting your process. And the more you recognize your own effort, the more confidence you build from the inside out. That kind of confidence can't be taken away because it's not based on opinions. It's built on truth. Think about how many times you've grown quietly. Think about the days you chose to be disciplined when no one was watching. The days you felt like quitting but didn't. The moments you wanted to lash out but chose patience instead. That's strength. That's maturity. That's growth. Don't let the lack of applause make you forget the work you've done. There's power in self-recognition. It's not arrogance. It's not pride. It's ownership. It's saying this progress matters. Even if it's slow. Even if no one claps. Even if no one notices, because the goal is not to impress others. The goal is to become better than who you were yesterday. And here's the truth. You're not going to be understood by everyone. Some people won't get your choices. Some will downplay your progress. Some will even try to distract you from your path. But that doesn't mean you stop. It means you stop looking to them for your sense of worth. It means you start honoring your path without apology. This is your life, your steps, your work, your growth, and you deserve to feel proud of it. So clap for yourself. Clap when you show up. Clap when you make a better choice. Clap when you keep going through discomfort. Clap when you set a boundary. Clap when you rise after falling. Don't wait for a crowd. Be your own encouragement. It may feel strange at first. You may feel like it doesn't matter, but it does. Because the more you affirm your growth, the more you reinforce your direction, and the stronger your direction becomes, the harder it is for setbacks or silence to shake you. When you build your self-worth from the inside, the outside can't break it. This kind of mindset creates real momentum. It takes you from being reactive to being intentional. It takes you from chasing approval to creating peace. And over time, it changes the way you experience your own journey. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling invisible. You stop questioning your value. Don't let a lack of applause trick you into thinking your progress isn't important. You've come too far. You've worked too hard, and you are doing better than you think. So the next time you make progress, no matter how small, acknowledge it. The next time you handle a situation better than you used to, appreciate it. The next time you stay focused when it would have been easier to give up, celebrate it. Because you're building something meaningful. You're building strength. You're building integrity. You're building the life you want, piece by piece. And every piece matters. So even if the room is silent, even if no one sees it, even if no one gives you credit, stand up anyway. Be proud anyway. keep going anyway. And remind yourself over and over again that your progress is enough. Your effort is enough. Your growth is enough. You don't need a round of applause to know you're rising. You just need to look at the person you're becoming and realize that is worth celebrating. Every single day. Number 5, spend time alone to learn who you really are. Stand tall and embrace the solitude that reveals your truest self. In a world full of voices demanding your attention, finding time to be alone becomes a vital act of courage and self-respect. When you choose to be by yourself, you create a space where your own thoughts, feelings, and dreams can come forward without interference. In the quiet moments away from the demands and opinions of others, you can finally hear the voice that matters, the one that guides you through life from within. It is in those moments of seclusion that you begin to understand what truly drives you. Without distractions, you can explore the depths of your own mind and recognize the patterns that govern your actions. You are given the opportunity to examine your emotions and let go of habits that no longer serve you. You start to see that the opinions of others do not define who you are, and that your inner truth holds more value than any external approval. When you spend time alone, you allow yourself the gift of introspection, where every thought becomes a step toward building a stronger, more authentic identity. Being alone does not mean being lonely. In fact, solitude is a blessing that enriches your life. It is a chance to recharge your spirit and nurture the parts of you that have been silent for too long. Alone time offers clarity, helping you distinguish between the voices that uplift you and those that bring you down. As you sit quietly with your thoughts, you may discover talents, passions, or insights that were hidden by the constant noise of everyday life. You become aware of your own potential, and this awareness builds a foundation for real, lasting change. When you consciously set aside moments to be alone, you learn to become your best friend. You begin to trust your own judgment and rely on your inner wisdom to make decisions that align with your deepest values. During these reflective periods, you can identify what truly matters to you and set meaningful goals. With this clarity, you have the power to chart your own course, free from the influence of those who may not understand your path. The strength you find in solitude becomes a secret reserve of confidence that empowers you to face challenges without fear. In the silence of your own company, you learn to appreciate the beauty of your own existence. You come to realize that every moment alone is an opportunity to celebrate your individuality. As you listen to your own heartbeat and feel the steady rhythm of your thoughts, you recognize that you are both unique and powerful. This realization is transformative. It teaches you that the journey inward is just as important as any outward achievement, and that your relationship with yourself is the cornerstone of all success. When you prioritize alone time, you learn to set boundaries and protect your well-being. You discover that by taking care of your inner self, you strengthen your ability to interact with the world from a place of resilience and balance. Instead of being swept away by external influences, you become the master of your own mind. This self-governance fuels your personal growth, ensuring that each decision is made with purpose rather than impulse. In nurturing your solitude, you are actively building a life defined by self-awareness and empowerment. The process of spending time alone is a journey of self-discovery that demands dedication and honesty. It requires you to face both your light and your shadows, without judgment. In those moments when you reflect on your past mistakes and your unfulfilled dreams, you learn valuable lessons about forgiveness and the importance of growth. This is not a time for harsh criticism, but for gentle understanding. You acknowledge every part of yourself with kindness, recognizing that each experience contributes to the person you are becoming. This open, reflective approach deepens your compassion, not only for yourself, but for the lives you touch as well. Time alone gives you the chance to explore your interests and develop your passions. When you are not preoccupied with pleasing others, you have the freedom to experiment, create, and innovate. This creative energy can lead you to new skills, hobbies, and even career opportunities that align with your true self. Uninterrupted by external demands, your mind is free to wander, to dream, and to map out a plan for the future that resonates deeply with your inner desire. As you explore these avenues, you gradually build a picture of the life you want to lead, a life that is authentic and true to your personal beliefs. Solitude also offers the space to heal wounds that have been left unattended. In the absence of constant interaction, you have room to process emotions, to come to terms with past disappointments, and to find closure where needed. It is a time to address the parts of you that have suffered and to begin the process of mending. You learn that healing is not a destination, but a continuous effort, and that every moment spent with yourself contributes to that healing. In these moments, you are reminded that you are your best caregiver, your own champion in times of hardship. The clarity that comes from being alone illuminates your strengths, allowing you to see the progress you have made over the years. Reflect on the challenges you've overcome and the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Recognize that every struggle has enriched your character and every setback has prepared you for future success. This honest self-assessment fosters a sense of pride and gratitude for the person you are becoming. By acknowledging your growth in solitude, you lay the groundwork for even greater achievements, knowing that the road ahead is built on the foundation of your inner work. Spending time alone empowers you to live with purpose and to follow your own inner guidance. When you are not swayed by the opinions or expectations of others, you have the opportunity to pursue a path that is uniquely yours. You learn that your life is not a mirror of other people's dreams, but a canvas waiting for your own vision. This independence sparks innovation, courage, and a relentless drive to achieve what you set out to do. It is in the quiet moments of self-reflection that you gather the strength to take bold steps forward in your journey. Ultimately, solitude teaches you that the greatest relationship you will ever have is with yourself. It is here that you learn to recognize your own worth, to honor your unique contributions to the world, and to commit fully to the pursuit of your dreams. With every moment spent in honest reflection, you become more in tune with your own potential, more confident in your abilities, and more determined to build a life of meaning and satisfaction. The clarity and strength you gain from being alone ripple outwards, positively affecting every aspect of your life, from your work to your relationships. So take time out of every day to be alone. Sit quietly and listen to your heart. Allow yourself the freedom to explore who you truly are, without distraction or judgment. Let the calmness within guide you through life's many decisions, and remind you daily that you are enough just as you are. The journey inward is not always easy, but it is one of the most rewarding you will ever embark upon. In that sacred space of solitude, you will unlock the secrets of your inner strength and discover the vast reservoir of potential that lies within. Every minute spent in self-reflection is an investment in a future where you lead with purpose and live with authenticity. Stand firm in your commitment to yourself and dedicate time to understand the person behind the mask you show to the world. Grow in confidence with every moment of quiet introspection, and let that confidence be the driving force behind every decision you make. When you learn to stand alone, you also learn to stand strong, knowing that the foundation of your life is built on self-awareness and self-love. Now is the time to embrace the solitude and use it as a stepping stone to a deeper, more fulfilling life. Allow each silent hour to nurture your mind, heart, and spirit, turning every moment of isolation into a celebration of who you are. In this sacred relationship with yourself, you will uncover truths that set you free and empower you to live without compromise. The answers you seek are hidden in the quiet, waiting for you to claim them. Step boldly into that space and make it your own, for it is there that you will truly learn who you are. Number 6, forgive yourself fully and stop bringing up the past. You cannot move forward while dragging the weight of yesterday behind you. At some point, you must decide that your past no longer deserves the power to define who you are today. No matter what you've done, what you didn't do, or how long you've carried regret, it is time to release yourself from the prison of self-blame. You cannot keep punishing yourself for the mistakes you made when you were learning, hurting, or simply surviving. Forgiveness isn't about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about deciding you're no longer going to be its prisoner. You are not the same person you were back then. You've grown. You've changed. You've learned lessons that only pain could teach you. But if you keep revisiting the past with shame, you rob yourself of the very growth you've earned. Forgiveness means recognizing that you did the best you could with the awareness and tools you had at the time. It means honoring your effort even if it fell short. And most importantly, it means releasing the grip that yesterday still has on your peace of mind. Every time you replay the same scene in your head, what you should have said, what you wish you hadn't done, what could have gone differently, you reopen a wound that's already tried to heal. You become stuck in a cycle where you use today's energy to fight battles that ended long ago. And that pattern silently steals your joy, your confidence, and your clarity. Letting go is not weakness. It's the strongest thing you can do, because only strong people have the courage to stop punishing themselves and choose peace instead. You must remind yourself that you are worthy of the same compassion you give others. If someone you love came to you with the same regrets you hold, you wouldn't condemn them forever. You'd encourage them to move on. You'd remind them they're human, that they made a mistake, not an identity, and you'd tell them it's okay to start again. So why can't you give yourself that same grace? Why do you believe that you are somehow less deserving of mercy? You deserve a fresh start too. Not tomorrow, not next year, but right now. Forgiving yourself does not mean forgetting the past. It means making peace with it. It means looking back and saying, yes, that happened, but it no longer controls me. It means allowing your history to inform you, not imprison you. You can take accountability without drowning in guilt. You can acknowledge your flaws without erasing your worth. You can accept what happened and still love the person who lived through it. That is what healing looks like. You are not a failure because you've made poor decisions. You are not broken because you've been through things you wish you hadn't. You are not your worst moment. You are everything you've done since then to rise, to reflect, to make things right where you could, to rebuild your mindset, your habits, your heart. That effort matters. It's time you start giving yourself credit for it, instead of only replaying your shortcomings. No one has walked your path exactly the way you have. No one has felt what you felt, thought what you've thought, or carried what you've carried. So be careful with the stories you tell yourself about what you shouldn't. You made choices from a place of confusion, fear, pressure, or emotional pain. And that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you human, and humans don't get everything right. But they can choose to do better. And you already have. What's happened is already done. You can't rewrite it no matter how many times you think about it. But what you can do is stop allowing it to write your future. You can stop identifying with that version of yourself and step fully into the version who knows better, lives wiser, and chooses peace over punishment. Regret will keep knocking on your door if you let it, but you get to choose whether or not to let it in. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't being forgiven by others. It's forgiving ourselves, because we are often our own harshest critics. We remember every failure in detail, every time we hurt someone, every word we wish we could take back. But we forget that we have a right to evolve. We forget that growth is not linear, and sometimes it comes through falling flat. Forgiveness is about choosing to stop defining yourself by moments that no longer represent who you are. Carrying guilt does not serve you. It won't change the past, but it will poison your present. It will keep you playing small, questioning your worth, sabotaging your progress, and doubting your ability to start fresh. Every time you bring up the past, you send a message to yourself that you don't deserve peace. And that message needs to stop, because you do deserve peace. You deserve to heal. And that begins with a decision to stop looking backwards with shame and start looking forward with intention. Forgive yourself, because holding on to guilt doesn't make you noble. It just makes you tired. It weighs you down and keeps you locked in cycles of self-sabotage and hesitation. But when you release that guilt, you create room for self-trust to grow. You start believing in your ability to change. You start setting new goals without the voice in your head telling you you're not worthy of them. You start making decisions from a place of confidence, not punishment. This is your chance to start treating yourself like someone worth protecting. You've suffered long enough for things you cannot undo. Let this be the moment you stop reliving the past and start reclaiming your power. Let this be the day you decide to speak to yourself with kindness, move with intention, and live like someone who understands that growth is always possible. You do not need permission from the world to start again. You only need to give yourself that permission. It's okay that you didn't know better back then. It's okay that you made decisions that hurt you or others. What matters now is who you choose to be moving forward. Your future is not made of old pain. It's made of present choices. So choose self-respect, choose clarity, choose release. The moment you stop dragging the past behind you is the moment you become free to move forward without chains. You are not meant to live your entire life apologizing to yourself. You are meant to learn, to rise, and to walk forward with a stronger sense of self. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I forgive you. Not just once, but until the words become your truth. Let that forgiveness be your fuel. Let it remind you that your story is not over. You still have time to create a life that reflects your wisdom, your values, and your strength. You are not defined by the chapters you wish you could erase. You are defined by the courage it takes to turn the page. And today, you have that courage. Let go, begin again, and never look back. Number 7, make decisions that protect your peace first. Always. You are not here to constantly explain yourself to people who don't understand your value. You are here to protect your mind, your space, your energy, and your direction without apology. Peace is not something that shows up randomly in your life. It is something you must fight for, prioritize, and defend in a world that constantly tries to steal it. The moment you stop choosing peace is the moment your life starts feeling heavier, more chaotic, and emotionally scattered. You cannot build anything meaningful in your life if your foundation is always being shaken by unnecessary stress, drama, and distractions. Every time you put someone else's expectations above your own inner calm, you pay the price. And the truth is, no relationship, opportunity, or obligation is worth more than your sense of peace. You've been trained to believe that constantly saying yes means you're strong, generous, and dependable. But real strength comes from knowing when to say no. It comes from setting boundaries that are firm, even when they pain others. It comes from walking away from what feels wrong before it turns toxic. You don't need anyone to agree with your choices. You just need to be able to sleep at night, knowing you protected your spirit. When you start honoring your peace above all, you'll notice how quickly things become clear. The people who truly respect you will understand. The ones who are only benefiting from your lack of boundaries will fall away. Let them. Protecting your peace doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means becoming highly selective about what you allow into your life. It means filtering what you consume, who you engage with, and where you direct your attention. You must stop treating your emotional space like it's open to anyone who wants to walk through it. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey, and not every problem is yours to fix. You are not required to carry what is not yours. You are not obligated to absorb energy that drains you. Peace is built through daily choices, and it's destroyed just as quickly when you ignore what your intuition is screaming. The world will always demand more from you. More time, more answers, more reactions, more involvement, but you are not responsible for everything. You are not here to be available 24/7, to respond to every text, to attend every event, or to agree to things that make you feel uneasy. Your peace is not a bonus, it's a necessity. The way you protect it determines the quality of your relationships, your work, your health, and your ability to stay aligned with who you really are. Every time you compromise it for the sake of pleasing others, you drift further from your center. There will be people who don't understand why you suddenly pulled back, why you stopped engaging in meaningless conversations, why you no longer participate in cycles of gossip, tension, or emotional chaos. Let them wonder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing clarity. You don't need permission to choose rest over drama, silence over confrontation, or space over pressure. Your peace is sacred. It is not up for negotiation. Sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that look selfish from the outside, but are actually self-preservation from the inside. Walking away from environments that feel toxic, saying no to invitations that overwhelm you, choosing solitude when oneness surrounds you, prioritizing your well-being, even if it makes others uncomfortable. These are not easy choices, but they are necessary ones. You must learn to trust that your inner calm is more important than temporary approval or superficial connection. You are allowed to outgrow people who once made you feel seen. You are allowed to restructure your life around your emotional stability. You are allowed to remove yourself from any dynamic that disrupts your ability to think clearly and breathe freely. That is not weakness. That is maturity. That is choosing a life that feels safe, not just on the outside, but inside your mind. The more you grow, the more you will crave peace over attention, clarity over chaos, and truth over comfort. Peace comes when your actions reflect your values. When you stop living in contradiction, doing things that don't feel right just to avoid conflict, saying yes while screaming no inside, giving away your time to people who don't value it. You reclaim your peace when you begin living in alignment. When your choices, your words, and your habits match the life you want to create. No more pretending. No more compromising your sanity to maintain a version of yourself that makes other people feel better. Protecting your peace will sometimes mean letting go of things you once thought you needed. Approval, validation, recognition. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but in that discomfort is where freedom is born. Because once you choose to stop performing and start protecting, you'll finally begin to feel grounded in who you are. You'll stop looking for calm in external places and realize it was inside you all along, waiting to be defended, not dismissed. You do not need chaos to prove that you're busy or important. You do not need pressure to feel productive. You do not need noise to feel alive. Peace is not boring. It is clarity. It is a space where real growth happens. It is the soil where meaningful ideas are planted, where healing begins, where direction is found. You cannot create anything lasting while constantly being pulled in 10 different directions. Focus thrives where peace is present. If you want a life that feels light, purposeful, and fulfilling, you must be willing to disappoint some people. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much about your own well-being to keep abandoning yourself. You are not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You are only responsible for honoring them. And once you truly commit to that, you'll feel a level of freedom that can't be shaken by outside noise. Your peace is not an afterthought. It's the foundation of everything you are building. Without it, you are just surviving, reacting and stumbling through life. Without clarity, with it, you are centered, focused, and grounded in truth. Choose peace before pressure. Choose peace before pleasing. Choose peace before proving. Because when peace leads the way, everything else begins to fall into place. And that is the life you deserve to live. Number 8, look in the mirror and say, you matter daily. You've spent enough time doubting yourself. Now it's time to look in the mirror and speak with power. Say it out loud. You matter. Say it again until you believe it. Not because someone else tells you so, not because the world gives you permission, but because you are finally choosing to see your own worth with clear eyes. For too long, you've accepted the silence. You've allowed your own voice to be the quietest one in your life. That ends today, because nothing changes until you begin to acknowledge your own presence, your own value, and your right to take up space in this world without shrinking for anyone. Every single day you wake up and fight battles most people will never see. You carry invisible weight with courage, and yet so often you forget to remind yourself of the strength it takes to simply keep going. You stand in front of the mirror and only see flaws, only see what you're not, only see what's missing. But that reflection staring back at you is not your enemy. It's your starting point. It's the person who has survived things that could have broken them. It's the face of someone who has every reason to give up, but hasn't. And that alone is enough to deserve love, grace, and respect, starting from you. When you look in the mirror, don't just glance. Don't rush past your own face like you're something to avoid. Stop, look yourself in the eyes. That person is not a background character in other people's stories. That person is the author of their own. You have ideas, dreams, pain, strength, and purpose inside you that no one else can duplicate. And if you keep waiting for others to validate you, you'll keep living small. That's why this practice, this simple intentional moment each day of saying you matter, is not corny, not foolish, not weak. It's necessary. It's how you reclaim your identity in a world that constantly tries to blur it. You may have grown up in an environment where no one told you you were enough. You may have been surrounded by people who criticized more than they encouraged. But you are not obligated to carry those voices forever. At some point, you have to choose a new voice, your own. And it starts with looking directly at the person you've been avoiding and saying what they've needed to hear for years. I see you, I hear you, and you matter. This is not arrogance, it's healing. It's rebuilding trust with yourself after years of internal neglect. Don't underestimate how powerful it is to simply be kind to yourself, to speak to yourself like someone worth believing in. That doesn't mean ignoring your flaws. It means recognizing that even with them, you are still worthy. You are still human. You are still enough. You've spent long enough waiting for the perfect version of yourself to arrive. But you don't have to be perfect to be valuable. You just have to be honest. And the honest truth is, you are not invisible. You are not a mistake. You are not falling behind. You are exactly where you need to be to grow forward. Your reflection is not just skin deep. It's your history, your efforts, your late nights, your private struggles, your quiet victories. It holds every version of you that brought you to this moment. And yet every morning you get another chance to rewrite the story, to stand taller, to speak softer to yourself, to stop seeing your reflection as something to fix and start seeing it as someone to support. The world may never know all you've been through, but you do. And that means you're the one responsible for showing up for yourself daily. No one else can do it for you. Every time you stand in that mirror and speak life over yourself, you are reversing years of self-neglect. You are building a foundation that cannot be shaken by rejection, criticism, or silence from others. The world might ignore your value, but if you believe in it deeply enough, that belief will carry you through. And soon, you won't need to prove anything to anyone. You won't need applause to keep going. You'll become your own confirmation, your own reminder, your own source of strength. People spend their whole lives chasing external validation. But the truth is, when you finally believe that you matter, you stop chasing. You start choosing. You stop explaining yourself. You stop settling for situations where your worth is constantly questioned. You begin to move differently. You walk with quiet confidence. Not because you think you're better than others, but because you no longer accept being treated as less. That change begins with words, with declarations, with that morning ritual of meeting yourself in the mirror and making a promise. I will not forget who I am. There's no right time to start. You don't need a perfect morning routine or a fancy plan. You just need the courage to face yourself with honesty and kindness. You just need the willingness to see your own humanity and say, I am doing the best I can, and that is enough. Over time, those small, simple words will start to shift how you carry yourself. They'll become armor against self-doubt. They'll become light in dark moments. They'll become a compass that keeps you from getting lost in other people's noise. You matter because you are still here. You matter because your thoughts and feelings exist. You matter because there is no one else in this world with your exact combination of experience, resilience, and potential. And if you never heard that before, let this be the moment it finally sinks in. You don't need permission to love yourself. You don't need the world's approval to believe in your own significance. What you need is truth. And the truth is, the moment you start seeing yourself clearly is the moment your entire life begins to shift. So tomorrow morning, don't rush. Stand still. Look closely. Say the words like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your peace depends on it. Your growth depends on it. Your future depends on it. You matter. Say it until your reflection starts to believe it. Say it till you stop flinching at your own worth. Say it until the world no longer defines you. Say it until it becomes the most natural thing in the world to love yourself. Just as you are. Because that's where everything changes. That's where strength begins. That's where your real life starts. Number 9, choose your needs over their approval every time. Your happiness and peace cannot be built on the shaky ground of other people's approval. If you keep making decisions based on what others expect or want, you will lose sight of what you truly need. The moment you start choosing your needs over their approval, you step into a new level of freedom and self-respect. You stop living to please and start living to fulfill. That shift changes everything. When you make your needs a priority, you aren't being selfish. You're being honest. Because no one else is responsible for your well-being. Only you can protect it. It's easy to get caught in the trap of trying to fit in, to be liked, to avoid conflict. Society teaches us that approval is a currency we must earn to be accepted. But that kind of thinking steals your power and your peace. You will never be able to please everyone, and chasing that approval only leaves you exhausted and empty. The truth is, the only approval that matters is the approval you give yourself. When you choose your needs first, you honor your truth, your boundaries, and your worth. Think about how many times you've said yes when every fiber of your being wanted to say no. Think about the moments you've sacrificed your comfort, your values, or your time just to avoid disappointing someone else. That behavior chips away at your self-esteem and disconnects you from who you really are. You may have done it out of love, fear, or habit, but it's time to recognize that your needs deserve just as much attention and respect as anyone else's. Choosing your needs means learning to listen deeply to yourself. It means understanding what truly matters to you, not what you think should matter or what others expect. It's about recognizing your physical, emotional, and mental limits and refusing to cross them for the sake of approval. That kind of awareness is empowering because it builds trust between you and yourself. The more you respect your needs, the easier it becomes to stand firm when others push back or disapprove. You will face resistance. People may try to guilt you or pressure you into bending for their comfort. They may say you're being difficult or selfish. But remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your well-being. True connection happens when people accept you as you are, needs and all. If they can't respect your boundaries, their approval is not worth compromising your peace for. Real love and respect come from mutual understanding, not one-sided sacrifice. Choosing your needs also means setting clear boundaries. It means saying no without apology when something drains you or conflicts with your values. It means making time for self-care even if others don't understand it. It means advocating for yourself in relationships, at work, and in every area of your life. Boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges that protect your energy so you can show up fully for yourself and those who truly matter. You are the expert on what you need to thrive. No one else has your unique combination of experiences, challenges, and dreams. So trust yourself to make decisions that align with your well-being. When you prioritize your needs, you create a foundation of strength that no external approval can shake. You become someone who lives authentically, boldly, and with clarity. There will be moments of doubt. You may worry about being judged or rejected. You might feel lonely when you choose differently than the crowd, but those moments are temporary. The freedom and peace you gain by putting your needs first last much longer. You begin to attract people who honor you for who you are, not for who you try to be. You build resilience because your self-worth no longer depends on shifting opinions. Remember that your needs are valid, no matter what anyone else says. Whether it's needing time to rest, space to think, or support to heal, you have a right to those things. You don't need to earn them through sacrifice or people-pleasing. Meeting your needs first is a form of self-respect that sends a clear message. You matter. And when you live by that message, your confidence grows, your boundaries strengthen, and your life becomes a reflection of your true self. Choosing your needs over approval also allows you to make better decisions. When you operate from a place of clarity and self-care, your choices come from wisdom rather than fear or obligation. You stop saying yes out of guilt or insecurity and start saying yes to opportunities that fuel your growth and happiness. This shift improves not only your mental and emotional health, but your relationships and career too. You must realize that every no you say to protect yourself is a yes to your well-being. It's a step toward living intentionally rather than reactively. When you make your needs a priority, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated. You teach others how to respect your time, energy, and heart. That kind of self-leadership changes everything about how you experience life. Your needs are not negotiable. They are the foundation of your happiness and success. Choosing them over approval isn't just a one-time act. It's a daily commitment to yourself. It's waking up each day ready to honor what you need, even when it's hard, even when it makes others uncomfortable, even when it feels risky. Because the cost of ignoring your needs is far greater than the temporary discomfort of saying no. You don't have to sacrifice your peace to keep others comfortable. You don't have to dim your light to make someone else feel brighter. When you stop living to please, you start living to thrive. That's when your true power emerges. That's when your life transforms from exhausting compromise into fulfilling alignment. So choose yourself fiercely. Choose your needs with courage. Choose your peace without hesitation. Approval will come and go, but when you learn to put your needs first, you create a life that no one can take away. That's freedom. That's strength. That's what it means to truly love yourself. Number 10, invest in your growth before helping anyone else. Your ability to help others depends entirely on how much you invest in yourself. First, if you're running on empty, you have nothing left to give. But when you make your growth a priority, you build a foundation firm enough to support not only your own dreams, but also the people who rely on you. Growth isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's the key to becoming the kind of person who lifts others up rather than drains them. Investing in yourself first doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you value your own potential enough to cultivate it before you spread yourself thin trying to fix everyone else's problems. Too many people rush to help others without taking time to develop their own skills, mindset, or well-being. That kind of approach leads to burnout, frustration, and missed opportunities. You can't pour from an empty cup. You might be kind, generous, and willing, but if you're not growing, you're limited in what you can offer. Investing in your growth means dedicating time, energy, and resources to learning, healing, and expanding your capability. It's about becoming better equipped mentally, emotionally, and physically to face life's challenges and support those around you in meaningful ways. Think about the last time you helped someone. When you felt overwhelmed, stressed, or unsure of yourself. How effective were you? How did it make you feel afterward? Growth provides clarity and confidence. It allows you to show up fully and offer more than just well-intentioned advice or temporary comfort. When you focus on your own development first, you become a source of strength and inspiration, not just to yourself, but to everyone around you. You start leading by example instead of relying on empty promises or half-hearted efforts. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a commitment to daily improvement. It requires patience and persistence. It asks you to face uncomfortable truths, challenge your limits, and push beyond familiar boundaries. Investing in yourself means setting goals, seeking knowledge, and being willing to change. It means understanding that you are your most important project. When you prioritize your growth, you send a clear message. You are worthy of your own investment, and you refuse to settle for less than your potential. You don't have to wait for others to give you permission to invest in yourself. You don't have to justify your time or money spent on your development. When you choose growth, you are choosing your future. You are choosing the kind of life you want to create. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. Your capacity to help others grows exponentially because you have the tools, mindset, and energy to make a real difference. Investing in your growth also means learning to say no to distractions and obligations that don't serve your progress. It means protecting your time and energy fiercely so you can focus on what truly matters. You will encounter people who don't understand why you are focused on yourself first. They might call it selfish or accuse you of neglecting others. But remember, you cannot be everything for everyone unless you first take care of yourself. The more you grow, the more you contribute. It's not a sacrifice, it's a multiplier. When you commit to your growth, you develop resilience. You build emotional strength to handle setbacks without losing your direction. You gain wisdom that helps you make better decisions. You cultivate skills that open new doors. And most importantly, you deepen your self-awareness, which is the foundation of authentic leadership and meaningful relationships. People are drawn to growth because it signals strength, reliability, and hope. When you invest in yourself, you don't just improve your life, you inspire others to do the same. Helping others is noble, but it should never come at the cost of your own development. When you grow first, you help in a way that uplifts rather than enables. You empower rather than exhaust. You offer solutions rather than just sympathy. This kind of help creates lasting impact because it's rooted in strength, not desperation. And that's the kind of help the world desperately needs more of. Remember that your growth is a continuous journey, not a destination. Every step you take toward better health, sharper skills, and clearer mindset is a step toward becoming someone who can change lives, including your own. This is the time to prioritize yourself, to learn new things, to heal old wounds, to build habits that fuel your purpose. The more you invest, the richer your life becomes, and the more you have to share. You are your most valuable asset. Investing in yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. It's the only way to ensure you have the strength, clarity, and passion to support others effectively. So start today. Dedicate time to read, reflect, train, or rest. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth. Seek out experiences that challenge you. Protect your time from distractions. The more you invest in yourself, the more powerful your impact will be. Growth is the foundation of true generosity. Build it well, and everything else follows.